Manzini. Manzini vula. Manzini. Manzini vula. One evening, not long ago, the world disappeared and I was left on. I was never sure whether the world was destroyed and I was left untouched. The reality was that I was the cause. Manzini vula. Manzini vula. Manzini vula. Manzini vula.
Well, in any story, there are two sides of a story, and they don't always necessarily agree. I think all these folks are stirring crap up, like every day. Somebody's dragging up at the past or something. Somebody's saying we have racial disparity here. There is inequality there. If nobody would stir that damn pile of stuff up, it wouldn't stink.
Mama Mary, she's a grown woman in her 50s or 40s or so. She wears a black dress, a black doek, and she hides a knife in the folds of her blanket. She's always on the lookout. She surveys the room. She surveys me. It must have been the high from sitting in the street fire all day, or I must have been under a spell or something, but it made no sense. What drove me to come into this house? According to my mother, it must have been a spell because Mama Mary's house, no one enters it. No one has been in the house for over 10 years. No one I know, not from our street. We never saw any visitors come or go. Just Mama Mary. My mother and her friends, they say that she keeps the ghost of her son in there. That's why she never lets anyone visit. And that's why she never ages.
Mama.
Ino.
Mama.
Ino.
Mama.
Their voices shook my house. I didn't understand. They said that Eno was part of a gang. I thought that he was part of a civic group. Where was he that evening? I didn't know. They said he was walking the streets, robbing people, killing people, and robbing cops. The police were looking for him. Hey, no, not my Eno. The one who was helpful in the house, did all his chores, made sure that water was ready when I returned from work. When would he have time to kill and rob? I could hear their whistles in the crowd that guarded my house. I said nothing. Menzi, who was their leader, said they were taking me to police. That the rest must wait in my house for my boy to come. The police will also come while people waited for the police in my house. It was late. We walked, but they didn't take the direction towards the police. They took a different direction out of the township. I said, but where are you taking me? Nancy answered, CJ, wena J is Lasta. Why you think you are clever? He had a gun. So he hit me with the back of the gun. Jay's Lasta. When do you think you are clever, way? I was scared. He was at night. And I didn't know where they were taking me. I knew these guys. They used to help, with looking for a job. They called him to join a drama group. Now why were they saying that he was part of a gang? They took me to the edge of the township. They beat me up with stones and fists. I had a purse. And then they took my money and my purse. They asked me to go back home, and if I dare tell anyone, they would burn me and burn my house. I stayed out of the township till morning, waiting for everyone to tire and leave my house. I returned to my house on Sunday. I didn't tell anybody because What would the people say? They took my things, my dishes, my food in the kitchen. They took my dinner set. And when I wanted my property back, they threatened to kill me. The police also came. They took me to the station and they started questioning me about my son. And finally, they gave him back to me. He was dead. He was dead with no head. Just dead. I still see these people. When I see this woman, my heart is very sore because they beat me up and then they killed my son. And no one was arrested by the cops. Now things are happening. There's strange things happening. More killings, more death, and no one is arrested. Just death. The boys continue to kill people. They mug people and they kill people, but nothing happens. Her son had died, but the community blamed him for his own death. And she sat and said nothing. The police, they had blamed him for his own death, so they never investigated. And she said nothing.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. We're going to give the artist a few moments, and we're going to have a bit of a conversation about what you all witnessed and participated in. You're like, who is this disembodied voice speaking to us? Let there be light. My name is Antonio David Lyons. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm the creative producer for this show, created by Dr. Lepere and Itumeleng Moeketsi. Let's take a deep breath together. Deep breath in. Exhale. Another deep breath in. Exhale. One more deep breath in. Exhale. Come grab some chairs for them, and then we'll have a conversation. Y'all can hear me okay, right? Yes. So we don't need the microphone. I think we're good. So this conversation, we're going to be joined by two faculty members here at Georgetown. Yay! Ta-da! So we've been working on this show for several months, and oh, I almost forgot something. So we've been working on this show for the past several months, and the show would not be possible without Anita Gonzalez. And Mia. Yeah. Wow. She thought they were flat. Yeah. I think it's really important for us to have a conversation about how a show like this happens, one. Two, why a show like this happens. And the various sort of themes that happen within the show that impact us regularly, globally. So the show happened because Dr. Anita Gonzalez, as one of the founders of the Racial Justice Institute, is interested in collaborating intentionally with South Africa. Laura Sayuka Colbert, who's also one of the founders of the Racial Justice Institute. Oh, Derek and Robin. Right. But she does work closely with them. I'm trying to have like not part of the family. And so these flowers in this moment is also about a thank you for your visioning in your work that you do all the time in supporting artists and telling their truths and their stories, for fighting for what's right, always. I've learned a great deal from you over the years, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful. Mia, who works with Anita as her assistant, has been a partner in this producing process every step of the way. and has led with heart and true allyship. True allyship. And those of you know what that means, that you're in there doing the fight and doing the work, right? Knowing when to step forward and when to step back to support and lean in. And I thank you. It has been a joy and a pleasure. So Dr. Anita Gonzalez had a conversation with Reginald over at Mosaic Theater. They decided to partner as part of the Emmett Till Trilogy. And Mosaic was doing a reflection series, and so they partnered with various organizations around DC to really expand the conversation about the legacy of Emmett Till. Anita had the idea of collaborating with South African artists to have a really distinctive perspective about what this story, what this legacy means globally and diasporally. She trusted me to find these artists, to figure out what the story is that we wanted to tell, and we did. And these artists, these women, said yes to the journey, and they created this work. I like to think of myself as a doula in the process, but they did the work. They carried the baby for 9 months. They did all the heavy pushing. You know, I massaged some backs here and there. But they trusted me to be a part of this process with them, so we're here, and this is what you have witnessed. I'm gonna let Refiloe begin the conversation about why they chose to tell this story in this way, in terms of form, but also in terms of content. Because it could have been, let's just focus on Emmett or male bodies, that violence is visited upon, state-sanctioned violence in particular. And it can be a group conversation about how different forms are used and why this lens is really, really critical in this moment.
Thank you so much for coming out, everyone. Thank you for spending your time and your lives with us tonight. We really appreciate you being with us and present for the story. So when we started the conversation, we really reflected on who gets to carry the labor of violence and who gets to carry the work that happens in the post moment. And part of what we also reflected on was so much is our mothers. You know, the men who go to jail, it's the mothers who go and visit. I mean, if you've ever been to visitations of jail, it's all a lot of women there. It's the mothers there. When people die, it's the mothers who go and fetch the body from space. It's the mothers who work. So what we were thinking about, therefore, is then how do they then find life and live beyond the death, right? Or do they embody the death in their own bodies and the death sits with them? So some people do sit and live with the death, and the death festers and manifests. But then there's spaces for what is then women's work, if we're saying women's work, and it's their care labor. We thought of recipes. And there's so much that happens within the women's work around sharing of strategies, how do you keep your hair like that? You know, have you tried? Or it's always recipe. Woo, I like that. Your skin is so nice. Woo, did I tell you I'm now drinking this and that? Right? We always share recipes, remedies, strategies. And then part of what we were saying is that we also share a lot of rumors, things that work and don't work. So a lot of times we think rumors are negative, but rumors sometimes are, I heard this works. And that's basically where it came from. The idea that there are things that we know in our bodies from our mothers. We know how to when we get to a funeral, that just don't stand around. You must do. And then you teach other people. I've learned so much from being at someone's funeral from all the other women and saying, this is how you, I think about potato salad. You know, my potato salad. And all sorts of things. So I think that's where it came from, and the idea that the story can be told through the bodies. Yes, there's the absence of the male body, but there's the presence of our strategies of our lives and what happens post the moment of death. But also, how do we then carry that? Yeah.
Anita, can you share a bit about why South Africa to collaborate with?
You know, it's interesting because I was thinking about something completely different.
Oh, okay,
But
good.
it's okay because what you were talking about was recipes and remedies, and I think of South Africa as a place where people are still invested in Black communities. But what I was thinking about was about the recipes and the rumors thing too. And I was thinking about, because I got to see the show twice. So last time I saw it, I was with my sister. I didn't want to say too much about it because she lost her son to violence like that. Like and found him like this play was, like Pieces in the Woods. But I was thinking about what we did, because you talked about people going in. And she went way in. She wouldn't leave the room. And the recipe was that I took her up to other indigenous people, the Anishinaabe, and they took her to a ceremony called a releasing ceremony. And in that ceremony, they do nothing but wail all day. But the way they get the wails to start is also a recipe. It's like you take some cedar leaves and some sage leaves, and you make teas, and then they drink the teas, and then they wail. And so everything you were saying about how you constructed the piece and the way you were thinking about that makes me, that's the reason why. Because we do have indigenous traditions that help us to make it through these moments of grieving. And so I think that connecting those kinds of communities and cultures with the kind of loss that we feel in the United States as we lose our people is what makes me go. That was a roundabout story.
No, thank you. That's it. Thank you. Brother Kwame, then we're gonna come to you, Itumeleng. So your work is diaspora in its, in the way in which you look deeply into identity in ways of being and how people express that. What is it about this play and the story that is very specific to sort of the continent and how those stories and in your work?
Thank you very much. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for this. This is wonderful, but I'm also interested in the body and the ways in which the body becomes a vessel for not just emotions, but I can imagine the emotional labor, right, that doing this performance exacts on you. And coming from Ghana, I know that we have a lot of funerary rituals, right? And I think this is so familiar. But then thinking about, for me, I think this really enacts a distinction for me. What is mourning and what is grief? Right? And how do our mothers, and especially women, and particularly Black women, come to embody grief, not just on the continent, but in the African diaspora. And it makes me think about the ways in which our mothers consume grief, right? Because there's such a thing as the consumption of grief, and I could see that the ways in which your bodies, became conduits for the consumption of grief. But I think that grief is also very gendered, and I'm beginning to think about how we need to perhaps begin to problematize the genderedness of grief. And I was telling myself I need to call my mother right after this. Right, because I am here and she's in Ghana. My absence, what does that do for her? What does that mean for her? Right, so I think in my own work as an anthropologist too, the whole idea of when people, funerals are rituals that are not just for the dead, they are for the living, right? So if funerals are for the living, I think for me this enactment really brings to light what it means for funerals to be for the living, but the ways in which the Black female body comes to become a symbol, right? On the one hand, destined to go, but then your body records the very thing you want to go. I mean, how do you navigate that? So.
Thank you. Itu, can you share with us a bit about Mphahlele, the business? So we had a script. It was a lot of words, and then it wasn't. So just to talk a bit about how we came to this more physical